Let me ask you a question, a real one. Why do you check your phone more than 150 times a day without even noticing? In my line of work, we call that a tell. It's the little twitch, the unconscious habit that gives the whole game away. I've sat across from men who could lie about murder with a straight face, but they'd betray themselves with a bouncing knee or a glance at the door. Your phone. That's your tell. It reveals a psychological trap so perfectly constructed, so deeply embedded in your routine, that you've become a willing prisoner. You feel a phantom buzz in your pocket. You reach for it at the slightest hint of boredom. It is the first thing you see in the morning and the last thing you see at night. This isn't a habit, it's a hijacking. It's a silent addiction that's robbing you of your focus, your peace, and your ability to be present in your own life. But here is the secret they don't want you to know. Once you understand the mechanism of the trap, you can see the key. Crack this code, and I guarantee you'll never feel enslaved by that glowing rectangle again. First, we need to name the opposing forces at play. Think of them as two mindsets, two informants whispering in your ear. On one side, you have FOMO, the fear of missing out. This is the anxious, jittery informant, the one who's always telling you about a party you weren't invited to, a joke you didn't hear, a life someone else is living that seems infinitely better than yours. He shows you curated pictures of success and tells you that you're falling behind. This anxiety is the engine of the modern internet. It's the nagging feeling that if you just scroll a little bit more, you'll find the thing that makes you happy, that makes you feel included. On the other side, you have JOMO, the joy of missing out. This is the old, seasoned veteran, the one who has seen it all and knows that most of what is being sold as urgent is just noise. JOMO is the profound relief and quiet happiness that comes from choosing to be present in your own life. It asks the conscious decision to unplug from the endless stream of manufactured reality and plug into the one you're actually living. Let me tell you about a guy we were watching. We'll call him Sammy. Sammy was a low-level guy in a big organization, but he wanted to be a player. His tell? He was glued to his phone, constantly checking the social media of the bosses, the big earners. He'd see them on boats, in expensive restaurants, with beautiful women. He wasn't just watching, he was suffering. He was living in a state of perpetual FOMO. He believed the polished highlight reels he was seeing were the whole story. That anxiety, that feeling of being left out, made him reckless. He started taking bigger risks, trying to get the score that would put him in those pictures. And that's how we got him. His fear of missing out made him predictable. He wasn't living his life, he was trying to emulate a fantasy, and it led him right into a cage. This isn't just a story about a clumsy criminal. It's a story about you. Every time you scroll through images of perfect vacations while you're stuck at your desk, every time you see a group of friends out to dinner while you're home alone, you're letting that same informant whisper poison in your ear. The fundamental question you have to ask yourself is this: who is in control? The anxious voice demanding you keep up, or the calm voice that knows your own life is the only one that matters? So, what's really happening in your head when you see those posts? Why does a picture of someone else's success feel like your own personal failure? There's a psychological principle at play here that's as old as humanity itself, just supercharged by technology. Researchers at Stanford and elsewhere call it social comparison theory. It's a fancy name for a simple, brutal instinct, the need to know where you stand in the tribe. For thousands of years, our survival depended on it. Am I strong enough? Am I valuable to the group? Am I at risk of being cast out? Your brain evolved to constantly scan your environment and compare yourself to others to answer these questions. The problem is that ancient wiring can't distinguish between the 10 people in your tribe and the 10 million people in your social media feed. It sees a curated, filtered, photoshopped image of someone's best moment and processes it as reality. It creates an impossible standard that you can never, ever live up to. It's a vicious cycle. You open an app, you start scrolling, and the comparison engine kicks into high gear. You see a colleague's promotion, a friend's new house, a stranger's perfect body. Your brain doesn't just note this as information, it internalizes it as a measure of your own worth. The result? You feel inadequate, left out, and envious. What is truly insidious is that the brain often processes this kind of social rejection, this feeling of being less than, in the same regions that process physical pain. That pang of anxiety you feel, that's not just in your head, it's a genuine, neurologically driven pain signal. You are literally hurting yourself with every scroll. Think about the last time you went down that rabbit hole. Have you noticed how you can open an app feeling perfectly fine, and 30 minutes later you feel drained, irritable, and vaguely depressed? You've just subjected yourself to hundreds, maybe thousands, of micro-rejections, comparing your real, messy, behind-the-scenes life to everyone else's polished highlight reel. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was a brilliant engineer at a tech firm, one of the best. But she was quiet, an introvert. She did her work and went home. Online, however, she saw her more charismatic, less talented colleagues getting all the attention. They were posting about their conference talks, their team-building ski trips, their synergy meetings. They were building a brand. Margaret's work was objectively better, but her digital presence was non-existent. The constant stream of her colleagues' self-promotion became a form of psychological torture. She felt invisible, undervalued. That feeling of being left out, of her contributions being ignored, festered. It grew into resentment, and that resentment led her to make a very bad decision. She started leaking confidential project details to a competitor, not for the money, but for the validation. She wanted to prove she was important, that she held power. Her social comparison addiction drove her to betray her own principles and ultimately ruined her career. This is an extreme example, but the mechanism is the same for all of us. When our self-worth gets tangled up in how we measure up to others online, we start making poor decisions. So I'll ask you, is your feed a source of inspiration, or is it a source of quiet desperation? Be honest with yourself. Now, let's get into the mechanics of the trap itself. Why does missing a single notification or a story that disappears in 24 hours feel like a small crisis? It's because these platforms have been expertly designed to exploit another one of your ancient survival instincts, the scarcity mindset. In the wild, scarcity is a mortal threat. A scarcity of food, a scarcity of water, a scarcity of information about a predator. These things could kill you. Your brain is hardwired to react with urgency and anxiety when it perceives that something valuable is limited or might be taken away. Tech companies know this. They have weaponized scarcity, the limited time notification, the ephemeral story, the red dot that screams at you to open the app. These are all forms of manufactured urgency. They are designed to trigger that primal panic button in your brain that says, act now or you will miss out, and that might be dangerous. You see, you're not really addicted to your phone. Let that sink in. You are addicted to avoiding the discomfort that the phone promises to solve. The discomfort of boredom, the discomfort of loneliness, the discomfort of feeling irrelevant. Every notification is a little poker chip the machine gives you. A like is a hit of social validation. A comment is a hit of connection. A new story is a hit of novelty. It's a dopamine loop. But dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical, it's the seeking chemical. It's what drives you to look, to hunt, to forage for information and reward. It doesn't give you satisfaction, it just promises you that satisfaction is one more scroll, one more click, one more video away. It is the same mechanism that keeps a gambler pulling the lever on a slot machine long after they've lost their money. The reward is always just around the corner, but it never truly arrives. Here's an insight from my years in the field. This isn't just about missing out on fun, it's about a perceived loss of information. We once investigated a stock market manipulation scheme. The perpetrators didn't spread false good news, they created an exclusive, invite-only chat group. They would occasionally drop what seemed like inside information. The value wasn't just the information itself, but its perceived scarcity. People were desperate to get in. They paid fortunes, compromised themselves, all because they were terrified of missing the one piece of information that could make them rich. That's what your phone is doing to you on a micro scale, 1,000 times a day. It has created a world where information is both infinite and ephemeral, so you feel like you have to be constantly connected just to keep up. It's a con game. You are being manipulated into believing that if you look away for a second, you'll miss the one thing that matters. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, after thousands of hours of scrolling, what crucial, life-altering piece of information have you actually found? The truth is, the urgent is almost never important, and the important is almost never urgent. You're being sold a crisis that doesn't exist. All right, we've dissected the problem, we've looked at the evidence. Now comes the part where you turn from a passive subject into an active investigator of your own mind. This is where we make the psychological shift from the anxiety of FOMO to the empowerment of JOMO. It's not about willpower. Willpower is a finite resource, and you're fighting against a billion-dollar industry designed to exhaust it. This is about strategy. It's about changing the rules of the game so you can't lose. I'll give it to you in a simple 3-step reframe, the same way we'd process a crime scene: awareness, revaluation, and action. First is awareness. You have to spot your triggers. You have to know what you're looking for. For the next week, I want you to be a detective in your own life. Every time you pick up your phone, ask yourself one question. What am I trying to escape from right now? Is it boredom? Is it an uncomfortable emotion? Is it a difficult task you're procrastinating on? Don't judge it. Just notice it. This is like sweeping a room for bugs. You're just identifying the listening devices. Step 2 is revaluation. Once you're aware of the trigger, you challenge the story the informant is telling you. The trigger says, "I'm bored. Let me see what's new." Your revaluation is endless scrolling really going to cure my boredom? Or will it just numb me for a few minutes and leave me feeling worse? The trigger says, "I feel lonely. Let me see what my friends are doing." Your revaluation is looking at pictures of their happiness going to make me feel more connected or more isolated? You have to see the scarcity illusion for what it is: a lie. You are challenging the premise of the trap. You are realizing the threat you feel isn't real. You're not actually missing anything important. The real important things are happening right in front of you, in the physical world. Here's a crucial insight. JOMO isn't about hiding from the world. It's about choosing your battlefield. You don't have to engage with every piece of information. True power is knowing which invitations to decline, both socially and digitally. Finally, action. This is where you choose presence over performance. It's where you start implementing small daily practices. Let's make this practical. I'm going to give you 4 actionable tactics. First, the 3-breath rule. Before you open any social media app, stop. Take 3 slow, deliberate breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. This tiny pause is a circuit breaker. It interrupts the unconscious stimulus response loop. It's the moment before you breach a door. You pause, you center yourself. You decide your next move with intent, not impulse. Second, curate your feed for inspiration, not comparison. Go on a ruthless unfollowing spree. Anyone whose posts consistently make you feel worse about yourself, gone. A colleague who humble brags, an influencer with an impossible lifestyle, gone. Protect your mental space as fiercely as you would your own home. Third, set presence boundaries. Designate tech-free times and zones. Maybe the dinner table is a no-phone zone. Maybe the first hour of your day is screen-free. This isn't punishment, it's liberation. It's creating sanctuaries of focus and connection in your own life. And fourth, build a JOMO ritual. Find something you love to do that doesn't involve a screen. A walk without headphones, reading a physical book, working on a hobby. Schedule it. Make it non-negotiable. This is how you reclaim your time and prove to your brain that fulfillment does not come from a notification. Ask yourself this: what's one thing you could miss online today and feel happier for it? Let's put this all together. We've laid out the case file. The evidence is clear. You're not weak or undisciplined. You are the target of a sophisticated psychological operation designed to capture and monetize your attention. The perpetrators are social comparison theory and the scarcity mindset. They are the invisible scripts running in your head, whispering that you're not enough and that you're being left behind. The trap isn't the screen itself, it's the narrative it sells you. For years, you've been an unwitting actor in a play designed to keep you anxious, distracted, and constantly consuming. But today, that ends. Today, you stop being an actor and become the director. We've established the key takeaways. We know that your brain's ancient survival wiring can tell the difference between a real social threat and a curated Instagram post. We know that digital rejection feels like physical pain. We know that the dopamine loop of seeking is designed to keep you hooked, not happy. And most importantly, we know that the sense of urgency that keeps you checking your phone is a manufactured illusion. Nothing is as urgent as it seems. The joy is not in keeping up. The joy is in letting go. The power is in choosing what to miss. This isn't about becoming a Luddite and throwing your phone in a river. That's a rookie move. This is about precision. It's about using the tool without letting it use you. It's about mastering the invisible psychological scripts that govern so much of modern life. This is the core of what we do here. We identify the hidden forces that shape your behavior, and we give you the strategies to take back control. The work isn't easy. It requires awareness and intention. But the freedom you gain on the other side is immeasurable. The ability to sit with your own thoughts, the capacity for deep work and focus, the richness of being fully present with the people you love. That is the prize. That is the joy of missing out. The evidence is all there. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Ready to own your digital life for good? The next case file is waiting for you. Tap the playlist and let's continue the investigation.